Okay, and now we're live.
Okay.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Conjure Crew. Tonight we have the amazing James Divine from the Divine Hand Palmistry.
Hey.
Hey. I was going to say, you didn't introduce him, and that was the introduction. I have to say, I heard about you, I think a year before I met you, because I met you in Portland.
At the Northwest Tarot Symposium, right?
Right. But Lena actually had taken a trip because you had a class, I think it was in Dallas.
That's right. In Dallas.
And she came back and she was just like, oh, he was amazing. It was this, it was that. I mean, and I was supposed to go. I think I was supposed to go on that trip and something came up because you and Taylor were going to go and you were like, do you want to take a ride?
I missed out.
I think you went to Omaha or somewhere. You had to drive.
And I remember being so jealous when she came back and she goes, oh, it was amazing. And we got readings and he was so on point. So I will say that she has spoken highly of you from the beginning.
Oh, thank you, Lena.
Well, I'm excited to meet you.
You too, Shishi. This is awesome.
So I'm glad to learn all about you as well and ask you all these questions. Fangirl you. So we
I love it. I'll fangirl right back.
Oh yeah.
So tell us, how did you get started in palmistry? Because I mean, what was the introduction to it?
Yeah, so I was 11 years old, and I have two sides of my family, right? I've got the Italian Catholic side that is the farmers, the Italian Catholic side, right? And then I have the waspy sort of, white people side, much more, white bread side. And on that side, I was in my, we were visiting back east. Ohio is where both sides of the family are. And my grandparents have this great big house in a beautiful suburb of Cleveland. And so I was up in the attic and I found this little pamphlet that from the 50s that said, "Your future's in your hands." And I thought, ooh. And so I read the pamphlet cover to cover, and then I tried it out on my brother, my little brother. He's not that much little than me, but I read his hand. And next thing he did, when he saw Mom, he said, "Mom," the Italian Catholic, "Jim read my hand, Jim read my palm." And my mother snap points. If she wants you to stop doing something, you'll stop in mid movement because she will go snap point, right? And it's like this magical, I've done the hand analysis of that gesture. Actually, it's kind of interesting. And she's like, "Don't do that. It's devil worship." So I was like, But of course, if you have kids and you want them to do something when they start to rebel, just tell them don't be something, it's devil worship, and that's what they'll certainly do. So here I am, at 16, I started reading palms for tips in a little, I grew up in Tucson, Arizona, and there was this little coffee shop in this little square with these little adobe casitas all around it. And so in the evening, it was an insurance shop or a dress store or whatever they were, these little tiny shops, and they would close in the evenings and people would be busking on the little porticos, right? So I would set up my palmistry there and just read for tips. And 16 years old, I didn't know what I was doing, but I was like, I can do it. Every time I do it, people are like, "Whoa."
Yeah. You're so natural with it, because I remember going to New Orleans in the French Quarter in the square and paying for a reading, and this person was just all over the place. And I understand basic because I was like you, I had a curiosity, so I understood basic. They were pointing at something else that wasn't my lifeline. They were talking about something else that was, wasn't my love line. And I remember thinking, okay, yeah, this is not it.
Right.
You grabbed my hand for a minute in Portland.
1 minute.
For 1 minute, and you read my soul. And it was just a little, a glimpse. And I was like,
just a little.
It's kind of like you pull your hand back and go, okay, stop looking.
And that's what people do, right? They're like, okay, try it, hand reader. I'm at an event, right? A big corporate event or something. People will be like, "All right, you think you can read my hands?" And I'm like, "Sure." And then I say 3 things and they're like, "What?"
Yeah. Yeah, I got my
I
soul
want my
snatched.
soul red. I want my soul red. I'm like, wait, I want. Yes.
Let's do it. I should have read all your hands before this. We'll do that next. We'll do that after.
Mine, and you've read Tanya's. So
Yeah, we'll have to do it. It's not enough resolution for me to see it on this, but
just see if I can.
I can tell you. Let's do a general thing, and so people can see what it's like. With the thing about palmistry, so then I started studying palmistry for like more in depth, and like behind me are all these books on palmistry, right? But I started getting annoyed because I think there's a negativity bias in most divinatory readings, right? Like, if you read tarot, that some people are like, I don't want to know what the cards say, or they're afraid, right?
Absolutely.
And it's because what if which card shows up that they're afraid of?
The death card.
Death card, duh, right?
It's always the thing that takes them over the edge.
Yeah. So people are afraid of their lifeline. They're afraid that they might have a short lifeline. And, there's all this negative bias that comes into play with divinatory practice. And so I was reading, and like, if you have the murderer's thumb, or if you have the suicidal line, or if you have the line of ill health, right? Or God forbid you have the simian line, right? I mean, that's like all these horrible things.
Okay, wait. What's the simian line?
Yeah, I know, right? It's scary. But my point is, beyond that, I realize that there are a lot of people with the simian line that are still alive and have never contemplated suicide. There's a lot of people with the murderer's thumb who are peaceful, loving, and there's a lot of murderers who don't have a murderer's thumb, right? And so I started realizing, okay, there is some kind of antiquated method of reading that I need to update. There needs to be a more modern understanding. So over the years, my degree and my studies are in sociology and anthropology, right? The social science. So I look at how do we use our hands, and how we gesture, how we use our hands in modern society matches the traditional planetary assignment of the fingers. So you can read a politician's gesture as they're gesturing and speaking, right, about whatever's happening, or a movie star, or a person just at the end of the table. As they're gesturing, you can read their hand gesture and understand their unconscious and their hidden motivations. And so that's all I did with you. You held up your hand, and I was just reading your body language based on what was going on right then. And it was just plain as day to me, right? So I developed this method. Here's the cool thing. I can teach it to you, and you can use it, and it'll be accurate. Because I've done it.
When is the class? I'm ready.
I know, right?
I want to take the class too.
The class is coming. I have a certification course that's coming up in the new year. So that'll be the full meal deal. You will get certified in the Divine Hand Method. You'll have a certificate. You'll be authorized to, it includes a certain number of hours of reading. And it will authorize you to be listed on my website as one of the readers and everything.
Is this going to be online?
Yes, ma'am.
Ooh,
That's
The power of Zoom.
Fun.
I do all my readings these days because of COVID. I'm doing all my readings over Zoom. People send me photos, and then we look at the photos together because Zoom allows you to share the screen. So we look at the photos together. So you learn about your hand and about yourself together. And it is so fun. It's so heartfelt, right? So
that makes really good sense. And I'm going to go back to what you said about hand gestures. I remember I was at an event, and I talk with my hands. So I'm constantly like this.
yeah.
So I should be an open book for a palm reader because I'm constantly like this. I remember this lady walked up to me and she goes, "You're a witch." And I was like, "No, I'm not." She goes, "Yeah, you're a witch." And she goes, "You have a triple cross." And I was like, "Well, what the fuck is a triple cross? What does that do? What does that mean?" And I remember the whole night I kept subconsciously turning my hand back towards me. I thought I could kill people.
Yeah, but
That's so
look at
funny.
you. You're a witch.
And look what happened.
What are you talking about? But it was that quick. Like she literally paid attention. And she goes, "You're a witch." And she was so aggravated with me. because I kept going, no, I'm not. I'm not a witch. But it makes sense to what you said.
Yeah. So there's here's one of the other things that's interesting. So I notice, Tanya, that you are, I think it's your right hand. Is that correct? Your right hand, you have a bandage on your right hand?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So one of the things that I do is I read injuries to the hand.
Lord, Jim, tell me, what the hell is this injury? What did I do?
So the metaphysical side of the injury. So we can do that. So where exactly is the injury? Show me on your other hand. Where is it? A cut? Is it a burn?
It's actually a blood vessel that decided to grow on the outside.
And where is it on your hand? Show me on the other hand.
It is literally like right here, right under
above the knuckle.
Right below the knuckle.
Okay, so that's your heart, your fourth chakra, which is your heart chakra, right?
Right.
And so the index finger is the planet Jupiter. It's associated with Jupiter. And what do we use that index finger for? If I go over Shishi's house and I'm like, hey, Shishi, how do I get to the store so I can go pick up a 6-pack of beer? She'd be like, okay, go down the street, turn left. It's right there, right? And she'll point with her index finger. Right. Why is it rude? Because if Shishi was taught as a kid, we all were, don't you point at somebody because you're putting your Jupiter, your power on them. You know what I mean? And so you're exerting that power on somebody. And so that's why it's rude, right? Or shaking your finger at someone. That's something that your mom does to, hey, right? You don't do that to adults or to older people. So this index finger is about Jupiter. It's about sovereignty, leadership, power, luck, and expansion, right? So you have a blood vessel that is bursting or growing outside on your index finger on your right hand. So the right hand, it represents you in the world. So this is about the heart of your sovereignty, the heart of your leadership, and what is inside you is being exposed. So I look at the injuries in different ways. So when there's an inside of you that's out, like a blood vessel or something like that, then there's something that you're scared of being exposed in the world, something around your sovereignty, your power being exposed. So the remedy for that is a metaphysical remedy. Obviously, this is not medical advice because you need to do the medical thing as well. But the metaphysical thing to do is to really think about, what is it that I'm afraid of being exposed, and how could I have power in that area? Meaning, how can I make it so that I don't care if people know? Because I'm totally clear about it. It's legit. It's above board. I have cleared out all that other BS, and I ain't got nothing. I have no skeletons in my closet.
I would definitely say that you're on point, because I have a major decision that needs to be made, but I'm not ready to make it, or I'm not ready for it to be public.
So it flares up when those things are happening, because it's related to, you might think it's related to your third eye, seeing ahead. You might think it's related to communication, but according to your hand, it's related to your heart. And so you want to look at your heart chakra. Is your heart in it? Where's your heart in this matter?
Goddamn heart, Jim. If I tell you this goddamn heart chakra has been an Achilles heel since I got fucking divorced. I'm ready to be over it. Like shit. How much more healing? I really thought.
Well, this is heart chakra. Now, remember, this is your heart chakra in the world. This is not about personal relationships. This is your heart chakra about what you're doing, how you're powering yourself independently with people out in the public eye. So get back to, what are you really doing this for? What is this really about? How am I serving people, serving the public? What are my ideal customers, my ideal clients? What do they really do? What is fun for me? Like, get back to that, like, what's really joyful and what's really fulfilling for you to do in this work. That's the heart chakra in your sovereignty, your leadership, and that's what's up.
I feel like I just did therapy.
Right?
Because of your finger.
I thought somebody was trying to take my power away from me. But I do agree with you. In voodoo, we make lamps, and you never use this finger because you put too much power in your lamp, because this finger is power. So you're on point.
Wow, that's amazing to see how it relates
Yeah.
across culturally.
We never use this finger. We always use the next finger because this finger would overload your work and make your work explode.
If you're using this finger, do you know what that is?
No, what is
Saturn.
it?
You're using your Saturn finger. So Saturn is about rules, boundaries, limits, but it's also ethics and ethical constructs. So how do we use it? When someone violates the ethical constructs, the ethics, the rules, or the boundaries, like of the road, you will tell them with this finger, right?
Oh yeah, that used to be your favorite finger. I can't
right.
Your favorite finger now, but
that's about, you only use it when people are not being like correct, when they're not being right, when someone is really offensive, right?
Exactly.
And so that's what this means. It's Saturn is the planet, and people always give Saturn a bad rap, like it's about death or destruction or things like that. No. It's about having rules and boundaries, having your ethics, right? So if you're doing this, you're putting your ethics with your action finger. This is Venus and Mars blended. And so this gesture, this sort of modern mudra, if you will, is about bringing together your Saturn rules, boundaries, and ethics, and your actions, taking action in the real world. And you're putting that energy into what you're doing.
Absolutely.
Which is interesting because if you did it with the ring finger, it'd bring the sun energy to that. If you did it with the pinky, it'd bring Mercury energy to that. And if you did it with your index, it brings Jupiter energy to that. So that'd be interesting to match that up with like whatever you're doing. You're like, damn, I need a super powerful knock 'em over something, I'm going to use Jupiter finger. Oh, Shishi, what were you saying?
So that's amazing. I mean, I'm shocked.
Can you imagine how much that would empower your work, though, if you did work with your hands and you were setting your intention because you knew what finger to put what would put what into it?
That's right. So I've been doing a modern mudra every week on Mondays, where I've been looking at the astrology and the aspects of the planets, and I've been matching those planets to our hand gesture. I've been creating a palmistry power pose. Remember the power pose lady when she was on Oprah? She was like, do your power pose, right? I have palmistry power poses, right? And so they're called modern mudras. And so you can create whatever you want in the world just through a hand gesture. And that's the magic. Like, people have never done, I haven't seen anyone who's brought a magical bent to palmistry before. So Shishi, what's something that you want in your life? What's something you want more of in your life right now?
Prosperity.
What was that?
Money? Is that what you said? Money?
No, what you want. Not what I want.
That's like prosperity. Bring me money, bring me everything.
Okay. And do you associate what planet do you associate prosperity with? Mercury. Yeah, I'll name them. Mars, Venus, Jupiter, Saturn, the sun, or Mercury?
The sun.
Okay. So the reason you said the sun is because your money is being blocked by your self-esteem and your ego. And so there's something around not feeling, there's some hidden message, hidden tapes around worthiness and about showing up fully and about people seeing you and just throwing money at you. So if you would have said Mercury, I would have talked about how you communicate and how you message yourself. If you would have said Saturn, I would have talked about your ethics and your rules around business. But you said the sun. And so that's your ring finger. So what I would love for you to do as a practice for the next week, and seriously message me and tell me if it works, or if it doesn't work, I want to know. Adorn yourself on that finger. Adorn yourself on your ring fingers, both of them.
Okay.
Paint that nail on your ring finger with a money symbol, right? And different from all your other nails. And then I want you to really point at what you want with your ring finger. It's a little weird to do, but if you're like, you see a picture, you're scrolling through Instagram and you see a picture of money, point at it with your sun finger.
Oh, wow.
And then just think about, guess what, Shishi? You are worthy. You're amazing. People need what you have to offer. And that's your little mantra. Like, people need what you have to offer. You have something There is no other shishi in the world, and what you offer is
Yes,
me.
bring it. Shishi, get a reading. You got to get a full reading.
I'm gonna have him read
You
my
gotta get a full reading. That's what I'm telling you. It takes him less than a minute to snatch your soul. Less than a minute, you guys. If y'all are looking at this, I'm telling you, book a reading. You will not be disappointed.
You want to do a little sample reading on Shishi? I can take me and Tanya.
I'm like, Luna's like, here, let's sacrifice Shishi. We'll sacrifice her other life.
I can't, but only if you want to. I mean, it is kind of.
No, I'm totally open. I'm totally open. I know, Nikki, he read the fuck out of me, just like real quick. Darn. Where did everybody go?
What happened?
I don't know. Everybody left.
Cute.
Like just gone.
I think they are making. I think Lena is making you larger so I can see your hand.
Oh, okay. So
you want to do it? Okay.
Yeah.
No, hold your hand back. Oh no, that's good. Hold it right there.
Okay.
Now you're showing me your left hand. Is that you want to read
my right hand?
Right hand is your work. Left hand is your relationships.
Okay, I'm good with. Okay. Let's do the work.
That is amazing. I'm gonna get out my pen so that I can mark up my hand and show you. Hold on. Ugh. What I see. Okay.
Okay.
Okay, you can relax.
All right.
You have a line like this on your hand,
Mm-hmm.
on your right hand. Do you see it?
Yes, I do. I've seen it before. Mm-hmm.
So this finger, this middle finger is Saturn. Saturn is the planet of rules, boundaries, and limits. And when you have a ring of Saturn, so that's kind of like a Y shape, is like a ring of Saturn here. Mm-hmm. And you have this Saturn line. That tells me that your fate, Saturn a lot of times rules the fate line. So there's a huge, important fate that you have to resolve and to bring into the world. Mm-hmm. So it isn't about it. I don't know if it's so much about the fate you have with your family life. Certainly there's some of that, but it's really, there's a huge fate line that's connected to Saturn. So that it is like you can't do anything other than what you need to do. Like there's this sense of predestined type of like, I have to do this thing. I have to be this way. Right. Mm-hmm. Now hold your right hand kind of in front of your face, a little further back from the camera. Yeah. Okay. So now you can relax.
Okay.
So you're doing, I'm going to exaggerate, but you're kind of doing this where you hold this index finger and middle finger straight out and you curl your other two fingers very slightly. You're very slightly curling your thumb, very slightly curling your Mercury. Mm-hmm. So this is the teacher pose. So I see you as having a huge ability to teach and to convey knowledge and wisdom to others. And that's probably a really great medium for you. The sun finger on your right hand is slightly bent. So that goes back to what we were talking about before, which is your sun, how you show up, how you shine, your ego, your self-esteem. So that's something to look at and to nurture and to bring out. Like really, you can shine. You can be there just as you are. Right. And then that Mercury is slightly bent. And so the Mercury is this idea of holding back sometimes on your communication, holding back on the marketing things, holding back on like you had an opportunity to, do something and you're like, so there's something about the Mercury and being more out there with that. I love, and so those are the things, but I think when you get to your happy place, which is probably around when you're teaching, when you're showing people things, when you're really doing the things that's really familiar and really fulfilling to you, that's when the sun just shines through you and people are just fall in love and they're just like, wow, she is so wise and so spiritually aware. Right. So that's something that I think you could look at. And I love that on you. And I just think your hands are amazing. And that fate line is huge. It's huge.
Oh, thank you.
That's a little tiny sample, but it's what it's like to get a reading from, because we talk about your heart line is not so palmistry, the way I do it, isn't predictive. I'm not going to predict anything except for your likely future if you don't change things.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to look at like the heart line as a pattern of emotional processing. Your headline is a pattern of mental processing. The interaction between your lifeline and your fate line are a pattern of life purpose and spiritual development. And so those patterns happen all the time. They happen every day, every week, every year, and throughout your whole lifetime. So you always have a way to change that pattern and to look at that pattern. And even if you can't change it, you can use that tool for its highest purpose. I tell people, your palm is like a toolkit. It's just you can use a hammer to bash somebody over the head or build a house. It's still a hammer. There is nothing. It's same with astrology. The same with the tarot. There is not a single bad card in the tarot deck. It's how you're using it. Am I using that? I always get the Ten of Swords every damn time I get a palm read. I get a tarot reading. That Ten of Swords shows up all the time. How am I using that tool? Right? Instead of being like, woe is me, I got the Ten of Swords again. How am I using that tool to advance myself? Right?
Right. That's smart.
Who knew we'd be at church? What do you think? How was that, Shishi?
Actually, it was really interesting. I definitely want to get a full reading. I was kind of nervous. I was like, oh my God. I was like, what's happening with my fate? Then I started like playing Disney songs in my head, which is bad too. I started like listening to the muses on Hercules. I'm like, oh my God. But it was really on point. So.
And Jim, she's starting a school.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, the Club of Arcane Studies. There's 7 professors teaching different areas of magical studies. And
that is crazy.
And she's the headmistress.
That freaks me out when like I read something in someone's palm and then like they're like, oh yeah, I'm actually doing that. I'm like, still, people are like, when are we going to stop being surprised by those things? And I'm like, hopefully never, because that's what makes it fun.
Exactly. I don't think you ever want to lose that, because like you said, that's your passion. And when somebody confirms it, it's almost like getting a present or a gift, But you were on point. You definitely, for people that know her, I will say that you were on point, and I'm sure she gets a full reading. You can go so much deeper, and you got to, Shishi. We
will have fun. We will have a fun hour of palmistry.
I'm totally game for it. I need it for sure. Yeah. I could feel Tanya in the back, like, nodding her head. I was like,
I wasn't giving judgy vibes. I was kind of like, yeah.
Her eyes are big.
Yeah. That's what friends do.
I know. I'm like, I feel it. I feel it on screen.
Here's the thing, because I love her and I think she's fabulous. And I agree with you. I think when she is teaching, she is in her element, because she is wise beyond her years. And I feel like sometimes there is a little bit of a holdback. It is a little bit, but I'm glad, because you touched on it. You touched on it.
I'm grateful for it. I was like, what just happened? And I see the divine hand popped up.
And I love how you explain it, because I've had readings before where people will be like, oh my God. Like I think even before I was divorced, I had this lady read my palm and she goes, oh, you're going to be married again. And I was like, well, wait a minute. I just got married to this dude. So it's like, what do you mean I'm going to be married again? And she goes, oh yeah, you're going to have a horrible marriage and you're going to get a divorce. And I was like, what? No, she was right. But, I mean, except for the second marriage, I just don't even see that happening. But it was really like, oh my God, I never want to do this again, because I remember just the negativity of thinking, what? So I think your delivery was really, really great.
So that's something that I was hoping to talk to you all about and get your input on, because there's an ethical issue that I have with readings like that. Mm-hmm. Now, Mama Tanya, I am sure that your divorce was needed and important to do, right? Yeah. However, I have seen far too many clients who've come to me and said, I had a reader who told me my husband would die within 4 years of our marriage. And I've been scared of it ever since. Right now, a reader's got to say what a reader's got to say and what they see. But I have this thing where, are you sure you're not giving me your reading or your shadow material? Like, how do you keep your shadow material from coming out at a reading at your client, right? And so that's a legitimate question I'd love to know. I know how I do it, but how other people do it. But it gets to that thing of like, if the reader could have said, this is what I say when I see another relationship. You have a second relationship. I see two major relationships for you. The second relationship will take whatever form is appropriate. If your marriage is working and you guys work it out, you go to therapy and everything is great, that will become a mentor or a BFF. It's your gay best friend, right? It could be that, right? So it'll take whatever, if the marriage ends, it'll become a lover, right? But it will take whatever form is appropriate, so that I'm not giving someone like your marriage is going to end prediction that then could F up their actual marriage, because you can't stop thinking about that.
You really can't, because I think at that point I was only married a year. So you just literally said vows with somebody, and then somebody tells you, oh, but you know what, you're going to get divorced and have another marriage. And you're kind of right. That first year I was kind of like waiting for something to drop.
That's right. And that doesn't help.
It was going to happen sooner.
It didn't help your relationship, did it?
It really didn't. And I think, like you said, when you're looking for something to end, it kind of keeps you from living in the moment.
That's right.
You have to be really good. You know, when I do readings for people, normally what I tell them is I say, you have some obstacles that are coming into your relationship. I don't see marriage counseling. Why don't you look into it and see what you can work out in the relationship?
Yeah.
That way you're putting the responsibility on this person. If they want to save the relationship, they
can.
But I never tell people, you know, even when I see relationships that are doomed, I always tell people, look, you have free will with this. Because you get a lot of men and women who know they're in horrible relationships, but they're not ready.
That's right.
That should be their decision. That should never be the decision of a reader that a relationship ends.
Well, I think also, though, you know, as readers, it's always important to give, help try to find solutions as well. And a lot of readers don't. Like, I had a horrible reading. I had bad palmistry reading and I had bad tarot reading. And in the end, it just kind of messes up your head. You're like, you kind of doomed. Like, this sounds very obvious. But in my reading, I'm like, okay, you know, this is showing this. I don't see this. However, you know, it is up to you. But at the same time, you may not want to rush and say, you know, just because I say, hey, I don't see marriage doesn't mean you're like, oh, that's not the one, and you dump the person.
Absolutely.
Do that. Sometimes it's a lesson, or, you know, things can change. Nothing is set in stone.
Yeah, it depends on your delivery, too. I was talking to another reader yesterday who brought up that they had seen that someone's husband was going to pass and didn't know how to tell that person. Well, you can't, that's not something you can just come right out and say. We were talking and I was like, maybe just say something like, pay more attention to your husband, enjoy the time you have together, spend time together, you know, things like that. I wouldn't say, I would never tell somebody to, he's fixing to kick the bucket, you need to go find somebody else.
I don't think it's our place to play God in this situation. I think divination is literally helping people navigate their life. We're not supposed to think for people. I get very upset with my clients that, like, I had one at the beginning of the year, she was dating this guy and she goes, should I have sex with him? And I said, well, does your vagina get wet when he comes around? I mean, there's a certain biological thing that happens when you're attracted to someone.
There's a song, isn't there?
Exactly. So I was like, you don't need me to tell you that because your body tells you that.
Yeah.
So you have to get away from people who expect you to think for them.
That's right.
They want you to handhold them and walk them through. Like, and Jazz is up, my daughter's up here talking about, I want a stepdaddy. Jasmine, go somewhere.
Isn't she in the same house with you?
She's in the same house. She's about to be 23. It's time for her to find her a husband up there talking about, I want a stepdaddy.
You can't be like, no, because your clients, you'd be like, y'all are young, you don't need to get married. Now you're trying to be like, Jasmine, you better find you a man and move on.
She's looking for a daddy figure. She's at that age where she can go marry a daddy. I mean, come on.
Sarah said she loves you, James.
Oh, so sweet. You know, it's interesting because What I do before my reading is I always do, like before this call, even I did a centering, grounding very quickly, and I do in the 12-step program. They call it an inventory, but I do a really quick version of that where I take assessment of like, gosh, was I just arguing with my husband? Am I like annoyed at my mom? Am I like frustrated with my kid? Right. And so if those things are there, I can't change them. I can't pretend they don't exist, but I'm going to keep them from the back of my head and I'm pulling them out so that they're visible. So then if I'm giving you a reading, I'm not saying, oh, you're probably fighting with your spouse or your mom is probably overbearing and, or whatever my issues are, right? Because that, I don't know, you tell me, nod your head if you've ever had some reader and you're asking for something and they're giving you their reading. They're giving you the reading that they need. And you're just like, oh my God, stop.
Yeah.
Right? How do you clear yourself before you go into a reading?
Yeah, I think like you said, you have to ground and you have to figure out what is your stuff and what is somebody else's. I mean, you can't be an angry woman that hates every man and then do a love reading because it's gonna be biased.
Mm-hmm. You think?
Biased. Even like you said, if you're in a relationship and you have an argument with somebody and you're dealing with somebody who's on the fence, you can easily let your emotions sway that reading. That's not what we're here to do. We're here to give information in an unbiased setting.
That's
so
right.
You have to ground with any type of divination system that you use. It's important.
Yeah. Shishi, how do you clear yourself before readings?
Honestly, I do a little meditation, probably 5-10 minutes. But then I also, as you say, take inventory of what I'm going through mentally so that I can make sure that I'm not putting that in the cards. Like I may see, are they arguing? And I'm like, okay, is that me saying that? Okay, let me clear that out again.
Yes.
So I do my best to, if I have a bad day and it's just not a good day, I reschedule. If the emotions are too overwhelming, sometimes you have to say, okay, let me reschedule this because no matter what I do, I'm going to be a skeptic in your reading.
Yeah. So. Right. Knowing your limits, right? What about you, Lena? How do you clear yourself?
Well, I do free readings once a week, just like these ladies do, and mine are on Tuesdays. And I didn't do it this week.
Okay.
I was not going to do free readings on election night. Hell no. But I just breathe, and I usually try to do it when my kids are at school. When it's just me, and it's like me time. I don't know. I don't have all the distractions. Like my dogs are outside right now. They can't be in the house right now because I have to. I'm not selfish, but I can't. I don't want to deal with that. Well, yeah, I said it right. I don't want to deal with all that other stuff when I'm trying to focus on my client.
Absolutely.
Right.
If I've got too many distractions, not only does it break my focus, but it makes me look like an asset from the client for yelling at my kids or the dogs or whatever. And so.
Yeah.
And I'm really a nice person. I don't want them to see that side of me.
You're very sweet. What are I'm really into like ethics around this stuff. I really think that it's important to give someone the highest and best possible, like help them reframe. So one of the things that I do all the time is I help people reframe things. So like if you go to my website, on the homepage is a free giveaway. You can have a video of me teaching how to read and reframe the negative things in the hand. Like how do you, thank you for putting that in there. How do you take and it talks about the history, a little bit of the history of palmistry, a little bit of negativity bias in divinatory practices. So it's good for everybody, whether you know palmistry or not. And then it's, when you look at the murderer's thumb, when you look at the simian line, how do you reframe that? How do you rename it even to the tool that it really is, to what it can really bring to us, right? So I think it's really important to help people see the tool. Like I would imagine, how could I see the death card in its positive light? How could I see the 10 of swords? I'm curious about that. I don't know what the positive aspect of the Ten of Swords is.
One thing is the swords are, well, they're about communication, but it's also pain. And the higher the number is they're like levels. So it kind of grows more and more and more. So by the time you reach 10, you either have all of this abundance or all of this pain and suffering. With the Ten of Swords, you got all the pain and suffering. He's laying on the ground. When you're on rock bottom, where can you go? Up.
Mm-hmm.
So that you've reached the point that
As bad as it'll get.
As bad as it'll get. So you're at the end of that pain thing, and the only place you can go is up.
Yeah. Ten of Swords is always about completion for me. It literally is, you put in some hard work. It wasn't an easy road. And at the end of the day, you came out and you're a better person because of it. The Death card is about transformation. No matter how you look at it, you're never going to be the same. There's a part of you that you had to let go of so that you could embrace this new part. And a lot of people are afraid of those cards, but that's really major life change.
And we need that, right? I mean,
we absolutely need it.
Did you eat dinner tonight? Was it something dead?
I mean, really, you're right. It's how you look at it, but you need it. You need it.
I think for me, like, it's interesting that people are so scared of the Death card, when in reality, I'm like, it's the Tower card.
Right.
That usually is the most, ominous in the deck. But the Tower card even is about removal of spiritual blockages. They're like, my whole world is going to fall apart. I'm like, it depends on what it's with.
Yeah.
Right. And I mean, what is the
apart?
So what is the what's the tool? What's the thing, the principle that the Tower card gives me that I use? If I get the Tower card, what is the lesson for me? What is the thing? Shishi, what would you say?
It depends on what it's paired with for me. Like, so I'm like, here we have the Tower. If I pair it with, like, let's say the Two of Swords for me, and depending on what the question is, it could be that my heart and my mind are not aligned, and that's causing chaos and causing certain obstacles in my way that I myself may be self-imposing. There may not be any obstacles. I may be placing them there.
Yeah.
So it depends on how you pair it.
I guess it's also maybe a needed destruction or something.
Context too, and what question, what context is the reading about? It could be about building something up brick by brick by brick.
Mm-hmm.
It could be about the opening. The part that gets blown up is more like tilted, and there's lightning come down. Are you receiving a message from Spirit? Are you receiving a message from God coming right down into you? You need to open your mind.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not always doom and gloom.
I think a good diviner always gives solutions. When you see your clients are about to hit these roadblocks or these obstacles, because we can see sometimes afterwards that you're going to go through a hard time, but you're going to be stronger, and that next phase is going to be better for you. So as a diviner, I think it's our responsibility, and it's not, a lot of people are like, I don't do fluff readings or rainbow and unicorn readings. But I think when you see obstacles, you have to talk about it and tell a person how to help them. How do you get around it?
Right. I think that's one of the things that I realized about palmistry is when I would read some of the old books. In fact, I have an example in that video. There's an example of, like, if you have this line, you'll be unlucky your whole life. And then that's the paragraph. And then it moves on to the next feature. And it's like, wait, what's the remedy, right? So what's interesting is palmistry comes out of India. And originally, we believe, we don't really know, in India, there are pujas and there are prayers and rituals that you go through to remedy any negative palmistry or any negative astrology that you have. So I know that, like, if you are born under certain signs, then you go and you tie like 15 ribbons around a particular tree that's sacred to Lakshmi, and you leave these offerings of this particular flower, and you go to temple and you do these things. Like, India has, the Hindu tradition has all of these remedies for anything astrologically or in your palm that might not be fully fortunate for you. When it was translated into the West, we lost those because in our culture, we don't have that type of spiritual tradition that gives us easy access to remedies for the things that are wrong. And so you have these books that are written with, well, this is just your fate, you're screwed. And I don't believe that. None of us are talking about people being permanently screwed because we have free will and we have ability to transform our lives. Thank goodness for the death card, right?
Yeah.
So that's an interesting sort of little conundrum that I realized. And I'm like, yeah, so I want to give you the neutral aspect of the feature on your hand. I want to give it to you like, here's what I see. I see a short lifeline, right, on someone's hand. That does not mean length of life, by the way, at all. So that is a life of creating lessons, a life of bringing it up, like kicking it up and maybe making a little noise and creating the lessons that you would maybe resolve in a future life. That is an amazing spiritual path to be on, is creating lessons for yourself and being that sort of fun, loving party animal rabble rouser, right? A long lifeline would be completing lessons that you have to clean up from what you did last time when you had a short lifeline, right? So it's just neutral. How are you going to use that? Are you going to, like, the short lifeline is kind of like the Fool card. It's kind of that like do, right? And the long lifeline is a little bit like the Hermit, right? A little bit more wise and reflective. So it's kind of that two ends of the spectrum. And I just think about, like, that's a much better way to empower people with the tool of how you can use that energy, that vibe, that symbolism, that archetype for good, for yourself, for what you choose and what you're empowered to do, rather than being always a victim to whatever's there. Oh God, a victim to Mercury retrograde or whatever, right?
That would be transmuting energy, yeah.
Have you noticed a lot with 2020 with readings that a lot of people have been kind of stuck in that gloom and doom? Because, I mean, COVID literally came in and stopped people in their tracks. And they were like, okay, I don't know what else to do.
Everybody is holding their thumbs. Like, no one is holding, I marked that because of Shishi's reading. No one's holding their thumbs out like this right now. Most people's thumbs, not everyone, most people's thumbs are in like this, or in like this, or even like this.
Oh.
So you don't have, the thumb is, Venus is here on the bottom side. Mars goes along and is on this side. So that's Venus and Mars. So what are Venus and Mars doing? Or Aphrodite and Aries, right? They're doing it, right? Because much to Hephaestus's frustration, Aphrodite's husband, right? Or Vulcan in the Roman, Aries and Aphrodite are the ones who are messing around. And that's love and war, right? And so what does the thumb do? If I want to pick up this crystal, right, I need to use my opposable thumb to do it. Like, I need that thumb, right? Or else it'll drop and break, right? So the thumb is the doer. And it's that I have a desire, Aphrodite, for something, a Venus. I have a desire for something. And then I have to actually fight gravity and inertia to actually do it and grab it, right? So it's a combination of desire and will, or like, that's why the thumb says will on it, because it's your will to do something. It's that love and war aspect, which makes you do things, the doer. So that's what that means, right? So people in COVID are like, I can't do stuff, or they're doing this. This is a really subtle thing, but you can have your thumb like this, or you can have your thumb like that. And so this means external forces are keeping you from taking action, your perception. And bending from here is I'm keeping myself from taking action. And you can tell because, like, I'm a doer. I like to do stuff. And you can tell that I'm a doer because when I do this, I get these wrinkles right here in my palm. That shows that, I'm really a doer, and I'm just in this place of like, I can't really take action right now, or I'm holding myself back.
What if your thumb is curved?
Oh, that's the artistic expression thumb, the hitchhiker thumb. So I have one that is and one that isn't, right? And so this is, you do things with a flair.
I like how we're all looking at our hands. We're like, wait.
Everyone does. Yeah, but related to COVID, what I've noticed with readings is people are not taking. It's just interesting. It's like, no, duh, you know that, right? So I'm like, how much of this is me? But I haven't seen a lot of people with their thumbs really out fully, and that's just. I'm like, yeah, because we're all stuck at home.
Yeah.
Or we should be.
Right?
Wear your mask.
I have to go out. So.
Interesting.
You have
Now
to.
I'm gonna be looking at people's hands, like how they hold their hands. I'm like, wait a minute, are you free or are you uptight?
I have a cute mask. See?
Oh, I love it.
Yeah.
Oh my God, where did you get
I
that?
made it.
You made it?
Yeah.
That's why he has a curved thumb, because
That's
he's
that curved thumb, right?
That's
That's
cute.
The
Oh,
tarot
that's amazing. Is that all the tarot cards?
you know Jamie Sawyer?
Yeah.
She made these.
Oh, amazing.
This is the deck that she did, that she drew.
These are several different fabrics that I just cut out, and then my friend helped me sew it together. And on this side, it's several fabrics that I just sort of like pieced together with the model.
Oh, I love it. Are you selling those?
No, I just did it for me. It's too much work. Are you kidding?
Oh,
We're like, oh.
You just want me to send you that one?
no, but I love it. I do love it. I think it's fabulous.
He's like, are you
have a cute mask.
There's only
It looks like a lot of work. It does look like a lot of work.
I didn't sew it. I just cut it all out. We had a mask making party. We had a social distance mask making party outside of my friend's backyard. It was super fun, and we just cut out masks, and then they were downstairs sewing like in their little basement art room. And I'm like, you got a little shop down here.
That is too cute. Lena, we could do that.
Yeah.
Make magical masks. That's the thing. I'll put magical oil on the edge of my mask, not on the nose because it's too much, but on the edge of the mask, kind of sense it a little bit. Of course, we'll wash them because they get nasty after a while. But I'll put magical oil, like healing or protection or reverse negativity or whatever, and then you have a little bit of that scent that sort of goes into your brain and into your soul. Right, you're inhaling it a little bit. I'm careful with it because those oils are not always, be careful.
Yeah.
But that's been a really interesting thing. I'm really into scented magical oils. And I'm very sensitive to scent. So some of the big ones that we might know the names of are a little tough on me because I'm a little sensitive to them. But when I find ones that I really love, it's really fun to do that. And I think about that with like magical things you could do. You could put a little herb inside the mask, or you could do a little symbol, inside the fabric or something magical. That would be such a cool thing to do for magical masks.
Well, let me ask you this: when you were doing readings, say face to face, were you ever using any magical oils in somebody's hand before you read them?
I have when I've been hired. I was hired to do a group, very magical family, and I was hired to do a birthday party. And so I was also asked to do a little bit of a ritual for them. So I did use a little bit of like space clearing oil, but it smells really good. But I haven't really, sometimes if someone comes to me with a really tough, issue and we're really working it out, then I'll run up here to my magical room and I'll grab, a little bit of oil, or I'll put a little bit of oil in a tiny vial. I have some little tiny vials that I have just because they were cute. So I've done that for people, and I'm like, use this. It might help you. I just do that for free because I also have an issue with like, oh, you need this remedy. It's $500.
Oh, yeah. Well, that goes back to ethics too.
Like, oh, you have a black cloud over you, but for $300, I can clear that up.
No.
Yeah.
Tanya's got a demon on her.
Yeah.
And that's a thing that is out there. How many clients have I seen? How many clients have you seen that have come to you and said, this reader said I had a curse and I don't have the $1,000 to remove it? Yeah. I'm like, so I've told people, and maybe this is not the most appropriate thing now that I know a lot more Conjure folks. I'm like, I remove curses for free because it is so easy to do. Like the only thing keeping a curse on you is you believing it's there. in large part. Now, I'm not trying to say that curses don't work, because they can, but it's because people don't know how to remove them easily, right? And they're just, for me, I'm fine that I'm like, wow, watch me remove that curse.
Right. Because they're manifesting it, because they're constantly focused on, oh my God, I got something on me. Oh my God, I got something on me. And they really, and then it manifests itself, but they did that. Yeah. So I know what you're talking about. I'm right there with you.
Self-proclaiming.
Is that, what do you guys think? Is that inappropriate of me to remove curses for free?
No, I think you're putting somebody's mind at ease, because a lot of people don't realize that a lot of the curses that they think are self-imposed bondage and fear.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. And most of the, and if they want to do something like take a bath, just tell them, because most of the time they have the stuff in their kitchens to do it themselves.
Don't you think it's better for a client to do that work themselves than for us to do it for them?
It depends.
Yeah, it depends.
Tell me more about that.
Well, because I have run across people that really were cursed, like their family, like one of the heaviest ones. And I told my tribe about it. I was like, she was really, really cursed. Like her whole family was really, really cursed. It's not something I could take off, but it had to be taken off from her home country. So there are some things I just won't play with. I'm like, no, I'm good with that one. But then there are some times where you can help, and you try to, help people and give them peace of mind. But some things, like one lady, she's like, I was told the guy that I'm trying to marry has a blood curse. I was like, he doesn't have a blood curse. It's nowhere here. But, you can tell the difference when it's like baloney, as opposed to like somebody actually did some work.
Okay.
And they put into play.
Yeah. What is it, your vibe? What do you think shows up for you when you think it's a legit curse versus someone trying to scam you out of $500?
I can see the energy of it. So, and you feel the energy of it. And you can sometimes, depending on what it is, you can hear it. So,
True.
Like the old curse from the girl that I was reading, I was like, I could hear it, I could see it, and I was like, that's not something that I can take care of over here. It has to be taken care of from her own culture.
Yeah.
So,
Mama Tanya, what about you?
I agree with Shishi. I think that there's some that literally I can give a remedy to over the phone and say, okay, take this bath, say this prayer, and it'll help you. And then there's some where it's like, okay, you need to go find a shaman. You need to go find a priest, because like Shishi brought up, sometimes you have spirits that are connected to earth, that are connected to a house. I mean, there's been times when I've sat over here and read and I've heard growling behind me, and that's not Casper the Friendly Ghost. But I know enough to cleanse, I know enough to pray, I know enough to ward myself so that I can send it on. Not everybody is, when you have Kerry, that's the stock market, he's a stockbroker, that's not what a reality in his world. Because we know that we pick up attachments. Do you ever see attachments in palm readings?
Usually they show up as injuries to the hand. They show up as hand gesture, because they're temporary, they're fleeting. They're things that can be remedied, right? So, but occasionally I'll see, like, the hand will change. The lines on the hand will change. If because you're unconsciously using your hands all the time, they'll change as it goes. So yeah, you can. You can see attachments, but then there's always a remedy for it, right? Like if you want to take action, you're feeling lazy, you're feeling like I just feel like I don't feel motivated today, I can't do anything. Your thumb is going to be like this. So the biofeedback hack, the metaphysical energy hack, is just put your thumb out. You will not be able to sit still. If you put your thumb out for like 5 minutes, hold it out, both of them, you will get antsy and have to get up off your butt and do stuff. It is the greatest hack. That's a mudra. That's like the let's take action mudra, right? If you're feeling you could do it the other way. I am overworking. I'm doing too much. Okay, relax that thumb. Chill the F out mudra, right? Because this is sleep. This is how your hand is when you're sleeping. So that's the energy of each of the fingers if you curl them. And this is the energy of a 6th sense. So it goes on and on. It's a whole method. It's really fun.
Okay. That's interesting.
You might not want that energy on every finger all the time. You might not want Jupiter. Might not want to be an a-hole with Jupiter. You might want to relax and cooperate and collaborate. So, maybe you do want sovereignty and power and be in charge, right? But it just depends on what it is you want. So one of the things I do with people, we design a mudra for them.
That's cool. And it's based off of the reading, based off what they need.
Yeah, we can do that. It's like if someone is like, oh, here's the reading. Here's what do you want in your life? What are you looking to try to create? Where does it come from? So I just did that really quickly with Shishi, where she was like, when she mentioned that finger, I knew that there was an unconscious connection with her ring finger and so because she said the sun, that's how we designed a mudra in just a few moments for her, right? And so I do that for everybody. So what do you need? What is a mudra that can help you this week or this month that would help you achieve or switch the energy up on you? I can't seem to get motivated. I know the mudra for that. I want more love in my life. It's always love, money, and love, money, and sometimes just life purpose, right? So we can certainly design because part of it is, what are you doing that's contributing to that vibe? Right. Well, yeah, maybe someone is really holding that index finger out because they think that they're in charge of everything, or that they, are always a winner or something like that. And their index finger is always straight out. Well, relax, dude. Cooperate, collaborate with people.
I like that. I'm gonna get a reading from you.
Yeah, I was looking at your website. I was like,
so you said you had these mudras that you do every Monday?
So on Mondays on Instagram, I've been putting up a mudra for the week, and that's simply based on the aspects of the astrology. Mm-hmm. So this week, it's this is the mudra that we're doing. So we're putting our thumb out because Venus and Mars are in opposition, but Mars is retrograde, so it's actions with love. And then we're so Jupiter and Saturn are conjunct right now in the sky, and so we're putting Jupiter and Saturn together. We have the sun, which is in Scorpio, which is inner water, looking deep within. And so we're taking our light and we're shining it within ourselves. And then we have Mercury, which is square Jupiter and Saturn that are conjunct, right? And it's just out of retrograde. So it's communication, but communication that has wisdom. And so it's square. You can see the square here between, Jupiter, Saturn, and Mercury. So not everyone can do that. So don't cramp up your hand. You got to relax. You can do it like this too. But put that thumb out, and this is the mudra that matches this is the mudra that matches the astrology at the moment. And again, that pinky finger is straight out from your hand, not up. So it's like this.
Okay, got it.
So it's a little bit of a difficult mudra. People are like, my hand's cramping up. And I'm like, relax, just do it as you can. Hold these two together, kind of just practice a little bit.
Could go apart.
And then whenever you need that energy, whenever you're up against something, you're like, oh, I want to go with the astrology rather than against it. You can do this and be like, get behind me, Satan, or whatever.
I didn't realize that I'm so uptight. Are y'all kind of feeling this in your hands too? Like you're struggling a little bit with these movements?
If you struggle with the movement, it says something about you. It's certainly some of your biology and how your hand is shaped and how the tendons are connected. But if something's hard for you to do, then there's something to look at metaphysically, right? Is it hard for me to put my thumb out, right? Is it hard for me to, bend my ring finger without? So that tells you something about yourself, right? That's good, Lena. That's exactly right.
I want to put them apart.
Yeah, you got to keep them together because they're conjunct right now. If you want to match the astrology.
Yeah, but that's the hard part for me is keeping it together.
Yeah, it's cool, but that's perfectly fine, right? To do it like that.
So, and do you have classes coming up that we can take?
My class was just postponed till January. I think this whole rigmarole in the news cycle is trying to keeping people from signing up for stuff. But in the new year, I will be launching my 101 course, Palmistry 101. It's just four classes. It's really inexpensive, and you will be able to start reading palms after just 5 hours of course. It's actually really just 3 classes you can learn. I just give you a bonus course for fun.
Cool.
So that 101 course is super awesome. People love it. It's really the outline of the method. Then I have a certification course, and that is a full-on, rather expensive, but you learn all of the aspects. I teach you everything I know. It's over like 16 weeks. You have hours of palmistry that you need to do on your own, but you also have, we do salons on video where we read each other's and we read guests' palms. And so I've done that also. And then at the end, assuming that you complete all of your hours and everything successfully with feedback from other clients, you actually get a certification as a in the divine hand method. And so that allows people to then do readings in the divine hand method, which is so great because it's teachable. It's you can learn it and it's teachable. And so Sierra asked, do you take payment plans? I will set up the certification course to do several payments. Absolutely. But it's, I mean.
And you also have your, go ahead. So.
Yeah. I mean, I make my living doing this and you can as well. And so that's why the course is expensive because it's.
Well, you get what you pay for.
You'll easily make it 10 times over easily if you buckle down and make it your biz, right?
Right. And you have your mudra. How do you say it? Mudra?
The modern mudras. Yeah, so follow me on Instagram at Divine Hand Gym.
But you got that class in January 15th.
Oh, yeah. So in January through Robin's Nest. So Robin's Nest is a super cool little witch shop in Bellingham, Massachusetts. And they've hosted me once before, and this is the second time. And we're going to teach the modern mudras. So how do you create a hand gesture for yourself? And so I'll teach you how to do that in that course. And that course is so inexpensive. It's only $30 and they're fabulous. And you attend like this over, video, and we have a blast. So you'll love it.
So Divine Hand Gym, yes?
Divine Hand Gym on Instagram.
I'm looking for it now too. Look, I'm trying to make sure.
Or James Divine. You can look up James Divine. Everyone's doing that.
Yeah.
You're on TV.
We're all trying to find you so we can have you.
Gotcha.
So it's fun. I love being on Instagram. It's really fun. I mean, I love the graphical interface. I love it more than, even though it's owned by Facebook, I really like it better than Facebook. So Insta is my jam because it's also very, very visual, and palmistry is very visual, right?
Absolutely. It would work perfect for you.
Yeah, I have a lot of fun on there. I mean, basically, I'm giving away my whole method on Insta. If you just go through my Instagram feed, I'm teaching you my method of palmistry through posts. Everyone is like, when are you going to stop giving it away, right? That's the admonishment I get from my business coaches. They're like, you give away too much. But I like it. I think it's good to be of service and to help people understand and learn and discover. You're discovering yourself through your body. You're reading your beautiful hands, right? There's so much mystery and so much magic in your hands. Your hands are what do everything. If you're gonna caress my face, if you're gonna rub my shoulders, if we're gonna hold hands, if we're gonna make a piece of art, if we're gonna craft anything, a magical herbal concoction, if we're gonna do magic, we're using our hands. So of course they tell you everything you want to know about yourself.
And
really awesome.
I noticed too that I don't know if I think you listed it today. There goes Shishi's hand.
Oh yeah, so one of the things, that's right. I have another class available online, and I just announced it today. $29. You can go online and take the Palmistry Tarot Mashup. The link is on Instagram and on Facebook. I'm about to put it on my website. I haven't done that yet. but for $29, you can watch Madame Pamita, who's amazing, and myself teach in several video segments the Palmistry Tarot mashup. And what that is, check this out. So flip your lid. The hand gestures in the Rider-Waite-Smith Tarot deck, I'm reading the hand gestures in the deck of the characters that are in there. Like the devil is doing this, right? Actually, like that. The Hierophant is doing this, not that. He's doing this. And other people, the High Priestess, right? They all match what the meaning of the card is. And the artist, Pamela Coleman Smith, is not known to have been a palm reader. It's completely spiritually channeled and just like not coincidence, but synchronicity that the hand gestures in the Rider-Waite-Smith deck just happen to match the meanings of the cards. Now, when I first discovered this, I knew zero about the tarot. Certainly, I could read the little white book. But I was like, and so Pamita, we met, and she was like, okay, well, you're the palm reader. You read the hands in this card. And she handed me the Hierophant. And so I read the hand gesture of the Hierophant, and I said, actions of the thumb are squarely in between power and leader and ethics. So this is about, and it's the teacher pose. So this is about teaching ethical and very traditional, constrained knowledge. It's about very specific, traditional teaching.
I never paid attention to that.
So all of the hands in the deck are uncanny. It's uncanny. You will flip. You will flip if you watch that class.
I love that class. We had so much fun at that class. Taylor loved it too.
Didn't it blow your mind?
Yes, and Taylor's like, "Oh, Mom, you got a fire hand just like me." You know?
Tanya, did you go to our at the Northwest Tarot Symposium? Did you attend any of the things?
No, I didn't.
We taught the Palmistry Tarot mashup at the Northwest Tarot Symposium, and Rachel Pollack was in the room, and she was blown away. She was
Lena told me about it. She was like, "Oh, it's a great class. Or it's going to be a great class." And we didn't get any. We didn't get a chance to go to any of them.
Well, I'll tell you what. For everyone watching, and for you four, don't miss a class I do, because I make sure that it's fun. I have a background in teaching and corporate training. And so Lena can tell you it's worth, like, and I'm not trying to toot my own horn. I am a little bit. Oh. I promise you, if you hate it, I'll give you your money back. No one ever hates it. It's so much fun. We have a blast.
She came back just talking about your class. And like I said, I was jealous.
Close up your booth and come to my class.
I'm still waiting on my little photo, but it's
your what?
Your who?
My slideshow presentation.
Oh, I never sent it?
No.
I'm a jerk.
It's okay though. I remember most of it. And then I have the videos of the readings that you did when you were there.
Yeah.
So
this has been so much fun.
It has been.
I just love being around you, and I want to give you a big hug.
I know. I can't wait to just give you a big hug and travel.
I know.
To Texas. Are all three of you in Texas?
No.
Tanya are. She is temporarily in DC.
Yeah.
Oh, in DC, they just legalized mushrooms. Everyone's tripping there anyway.
Yeah, but I'm in Northern Virginia, so we didn't.
That was a good one.
Like, Tanya, where are you? What state are you in?
No, I'm in Texas. I'm probably like an hour away from Lena.
Okay, well, the next time I'm in Texas.
Yes, it's on.
And I love the Eastern Seaboard. I love DC and all that. So, yeah, I can't wait to get traveling again. We went coast to coast last summer, and I can't wait to do that again.
I hope they bring Moots back. I really want to go to Moots.
Northwest Tarot Symposium is so much fun. So next year, one of the things that Pamita and I have put together, Pamita mostly, is it's the Studio 78. So it is disco. It's a night of disco music matched to tarot cards. And so we DJ disco songs and we project the tarot card that it matches. And we start the song that everyone knows, and we wait a minute and everyone's waiting and they're dancing to it. And then we show the card and people are like, ah! and it's super fun and hilarious. We had like 180 people come to our event the last time we did it. And it's a fundraiser for Lavender Magic, which is a nonprofit that supports education and awareness of queer, LGBTQI plus witches and magical people. So it's super fun and totally awesome. We have fun shirts. We make these crazy shirts where I did the graphic design. I took the magician, but I made him dancing like a disco dance. And I took the fool and I made him doing this, this dance, right? So it was really fun to like make that as a.
I can't wait to do the high priestess. I don't know what it is, but
the Three of Cups. We can have those three ladies dancing.
I would do the Three of Cups. That would be fun.
Or we'll take people off of the Five of Wands and we'll make them dancing instead of with wands.
Oh,
it'd be fun.
That's a good idea. I think we need to get more creative with things like that.
Put the ribbons on the end of the wands.
That's right. So don't miss the stuff. I'm just telling everyone, don't miss the stuff we're doing because we have had a lot of fun with it, and I think everyone has a good time.
Have you heard her sing yet? Have you heard the Fortunas?
No.
She has a band.
Who has a band?
In a band. Rita.
Oh, yes, the Neptunas. Absolutely. Yeah. I have all of her CDs. Madame Pamita is in a what is that type of music called? It's like beach rock. Anyway, it's super cute. It's called the Neptunas. Her latest album just came out. That woman is amazing. She is my witchy BFF. I love her so much. What?
She's in a band. And she plays ukulele, and she's.
I didn't know that. I didn't know she played instruments or anything.
Oh, she's so musical. She plays the ukulele. She's working on. Oh my God, she's amazing. I'm so glad I know her.
That's like when we. Is there anything that you don't do?
Yeah, she was really cute because she was on last week, so she was adorable.
Oh my God, I love her so much.
So cute. I was like, oh my God. It was nice to meet her too. I follow her on everything, but it was nice to actually sit down and,
And talk. The sweetest, like, when you take one of her classes are also fantastic. She does a class making magic with tarot cards where you make a spell packet out of tarot cards. Imagine how powerful that is, right? You take these two cards and you sew them together. And inside you put the herbs and the oils and whatever you want. You decorate the outside and you put your intention into it. That packet, amazingly powerful because the outside has the images of the tarot card or the oracle card, whatever it is you want to use. But I mean, I had never thought of doing that, making a spell packet out of tarot cards, like especially if you get the El Cheapo tarot cards, or even if you print them out and use paper, right? Like what an amazing like sigil work you're kind of doing on the outside with that image that is just so immediately like clicking into you.
Mm-hmm.
That is an amazing class.
Yeah, she taught that one up in at Soultopia also.
That's right. We had it's a lot of fun. It's arts and crafts, right?
Mm-hmm.
She also did a incense making class when we were in Denver. Like making our own incense was like what? That was really fun. So
I love your energy.
She's a crafty witch. I try to be one too.
It's over so we can get back out there and start traveling and going.
Yes.
Because I mean, we saw you guys, and then it took us 3 days to get home. And when we get home, there's no freaking toilet paper, and we're like, "What the hell?"
Oh my God.
Yeah, I think
the Twilight Zone.
It's totally the Twilight Zone. And you know what's funny? I was looking back at the articles written about 2020 astrologic predictions from 2019. All the articles, that was in there. People were like, 2020 is going to be rough. I'm like, damn, that was really true.
Yeah, that was a convoy of
mildly.
Yeah, it turned into a fuck fest. That's what happened with 2020. Jeez.
2020 is Yep. It's a trip. But you know what? We got to use it for its highest and best, just like everything, right?
Absolutely.
I think that I'm just going to go on a rant here. I think that we have really brought, in 2016, I think we really brought our shadow into power in the governmental sense.
Mhm.
And I think that our shadow is now, we're aware of things. I think there's more awareness of racial injustice, more awareness of economic injustice, more awareness of the plight of migrants than ever before. And I think there's our president has fire hands. His hands are the element of fire. That is about transformation. And if you're Lena and you have fire hands, you're using it in an amazingly positive way. If you're our president, it can be transformation through creation or transformation through destruction, right? So everyone watching can decide which side they think they're on. However, those hands are amazingly powerful. And I think about that transformation. One of the scary things that I think could happen is if the Democrat makes it into the White House, are we going to say, okay, whew, we're back to our post-racial America? Are we going to go back to that lie
I don't think
that we're telling ourselves? And that's the fear that I have, right? That's the fear that we would be like, okay, good, we're past that era of whatever was happening. And I don't there's still work to do no matter who's in office.
Absolutely.
We got work to do for racial justice. We got work to do for economic, disparity, all of that.
Yeah, so much has been brought to light that I think we would be doing a disjustice if we let things go back.
Yeah.
That's right.
I was talking with Shishi last week, and I was telling her, 2020, she works at an eye doctor, but when you think of 2020 before this year, it was about vision. And 2020, this year, has been very eye-opening. I don't see, if people go back to that old way of thinking that everything is okay and hunky-dory, then they've got something wrong somewhere else.
Yeah.
Really, because you can't go through what we've just been just this year alone.
Mm-hmm.
And then lay back like a Cheshire cat and think it's all hunky-dory now. I don't see how it's possible that you can just flip-flop back and forth like that.
I don't think it will be possible. I don't think it'll be possible at all. I think this had to happen whether we wanted it to or not.
We needed to see
that had to occur.
See those things. We needed to see that ugliness, the divide in people. We needed to see, because there are people that we slept in the same house with, not necessarily in the same bed.
Right.
But there are people in our own families that we didn't know who they really were.
Right.
And now that their people's true colors are showing, and you can't unsee.
Shishi, I'm curious what you were about to say. You were saying something about not going back.
I don't think it's possible that we can go back, because now, like, Lena said, we see people for who they are. There's so many things that have happened this year. I mean, Tanya and I spoke about it, relationships that ended. There are marriages and friendships that ended over this presidency, this election, but mostly because for many people, as we were talking about ethics, it was not an election of perhaps president, it was an election of morals and ethics. And
This whole year has been like that.
So now to say, okay, if we get someone else in, the White House, that will change, it won't, because we still see people for who they are, but people are still scared of change no matter which way they go, because we have some people who right now are fighting because they're scared of the change of what may occur that has happened this year, and then we have some people who are scared that it won't change and that we'll be stuck with the same things that we have this year. Either way, change is inevitable. It's the only constant. So one way or the other, we're getting change. The only question is how we're going to be guided through that change.
That's right.
So that's kind of what we're maneuvering towards. It can't be forgotten, but how we will maneuver towards it is what really plays a role. But I think a lot, such as like Nika made a post, how will this election, whoever wins, how will it really affect you? And this is my thing, is it doesn't really affect you. It's how you choose to take whatever's thrown at you and go through it. It's still up to each individual. Who's in the White House? It plays a role outside, but it's up to you to make any other adjustments.
Amen.
And that goes for everything in life too. When you get a reading, if you find out he's sleeping with somebody else, how are you going to take that? How are you going to use that to your benefit? You know, I don't like the little orange man. I can't stand him. I think he's not a human being. I had to say it. I don't like him. But I'm not going to, if by some slight chance that he does maneuver way back in, find the right words.
I'm like, look, she's itching. Like,
a snake and slither back in. Okay, then
if he gets,
it is what it is.
You know what I think?
I have to make the best of my life that I can.
If he gets back in, we're not done working on our shadow.
No.
We're still not done working on our shadow, but we're still not done seeing it. Like there's something about that signal that is like, there's more and what is our shadow, right? It's the nasty crap that we don't want to admit we have, right? I don't want to admit that I am part of a racist system. I don't want to admit that I live and succeed off of my white supremacy. And that those are systemic things that I'm not doing on purpose, but that exist in our society. Absolutely. I think that one of the reasons our president is so popular with, surprisingly, almost exactly 50% of the population is because he gives people an excuse not to have to self-examine and not to be wrong. Like one of the hardest things for me to do as a person of privilege, male and white and, middle class, is admit that I'm wrong, that I don't know, I don't have the answers, I don't know, right? That I'm like, I don't know what Tanya's experience is as a Black woman in, our country. I know what it is to be a gay man, and maybe there's some compassion I can have. I don't know what Shishi's experience is, right? And even being a woman, like what's Lena's experience as a woman, like, and having that moment of self-reflection, compassion, open-mindedness to say, I am misogynistic, patriarchal, racist, white supremacist in the ways in which that I would be, and accept coaching for that. Like, that's the thing that I think is really interesting is like, if I can say, oh, that was racist to say that Asians can't drive. Like, that's a funny joke, but it's also racist. And to be like, instead of being like, be like, oh, you're right. That was sucky of me. I'm sorry. I'm going to not do that anymore and take it as coaching. I think that's what I think people are having a hard time with. I think people are having a hard time with feeling like they need to be wrong or self-examine. But Tanya, what you were about to say something. What were you thinking?
No, I mean, you hit it right on the head. I think a lot of people are they're a little bit shocked about who they are this year because I'm a massage therapist. And the funny thing about it is when people are face down, they forget I'm Black. So we have honest conversations, and then when they say something, they do that slow look up like, oops. Oh, I'm so sorry. And then we have to have the conversation. Because at that point, it's like, well, wait a minute. Now you got to sit up on the table, and we got to talk.
You just screwed up your own massage.
Yeah. So, and they hate it. You can tell the look on their face because it's like a part of them that was hidden. And then it came out. In 2020, I had so many conversations with people who forgot I was Black when they were face down.
That's right.
You even had conversations with me because sometimes as a white person, I might say something and not even realize that I'm being racist.
And I'll be like, Lena, don't say that to another Black person.
It happens. We are all.
I'll just tell them about the cat. Taylor works at the animal shelter. She volunteers, and she come in and she told me about this cute little cat they had at the shelter, and his name they named him Spook. And I said, why? Is he Black? Not even thinking And Mom, and she's like, Mom, you're racist. And I'm like, what the hell? I didn't even know what I said.
It's and the thing is, we are racist, and it's not it's not a harpoon of our character or a harpoon of us as people. Like, one of the positive things about making racism so terribly evil is that we can, in the 70s and even before, is that it brought it to attention. But the bad part of that is it's a black and white conversation. I mean, an all or nothing conversation is what I mean, right? And meaning that if you say that I did one little tiny thing racist, then I'm going to respond like I'm not a bad, and I'm really responded to is I'm not a bad person, right? So the white fragility is all about I'm not a bad person. I don't hate black people. I'm trying to love everyone, instead of being able to say, oh, you're right. That's stupid.
Well,
I need to thank you, and also saying, thank you for bringing that to my attention. Oh my gosh, I didn't even see that, right?
And that's what I told Tanya, because when I was thinking, if you name the black cat spook, it's like Halloween, and it would be a black cat for Halloween. Yeah. And Tanya's like, oh no, that's not what. And I'm like, oh my God.
Here's the thing. I didn't take that as a racist comment because I thought the cat was black. That's why the cat name was Spooks. To me, that made sense. But I think, the idea that you were worried about that it would offend me or hurt me, and you wanted to have that conversation, made me respect you more.
Oh.
Because you didn't want to be put out there like that, and I didn't see it. Taylor went over. She was over, but she was trying to.
Oh, she puts me in my place all the time.
But I didn't take it that way. But I think this year we just have to have honest conversations. We have to have honest conversations with people and say, I don't like it when you do this, or I do like it when you do this, and let's do more of it, because it helps us learn people. I had a bunch of people this year that were like, I'm not racist because you're my friend. I'm your only black friend. And I was like, that's not really good.
Yeah, that's
not really to me, you're telling me I'm your token.
Yeah.
And they had to realize that you don't say that to people. That would be like me saying, oh, Lena is my only white friend. And you don't say that. But we're learning. And that's what I like about this year. With everything that's going on, I really, really like that we're learning. And we're getting there. It's not going to happen overnight, but I think we're getting there.
I think some people are learning. So I'm going to kind of go back to your comment of, hey, it's important, like, for people to notice. Some people don't care. I mean, reading Hillbilly Elegy, which is about to be made into a movie. And then also Hillbilly Elegy, it's talking about people of like Appalachia and places like that, why they think the way they think, and how they came to, kind of be that way. But then you have to take in, put in mind and take into perspective that some people really feel that they are superior. I can't remember which president it was. I made the note, but he said, if you make the poorest white man believe that he's higher than the black man, then you have no problem controlling, that kind of narrative.
That's right.
And so some people really have that in their mind, that there are people of color are lesser than them. But, it's kind of, they don't want to have that conversation. You can't have those conversations with those people because they have it set in their head that you are definitely lesser than them and you are definitely the bad person.
Or so you have a horse in that race, and it's hard. Like, it's hard for me to have a conversation with people who are anti-gay because I'm gay. Like, right. So she to your point, right?
Right. But then it goes back to, how, oh my God, I lost my train of thought. It also goes back to, saying, hey, let's have these conversations. Let's talk about these things. But what this president has brought out, yes, it had to be shown. But I don't really feel like he did it so that so people could see and kind of work on it. Instead, I feel like there's people who are like, yes, we can be absolute assholes and not apologize for it.
That's right. The no apology.
Because our commander in chief doesn't have to apologize for the same things that, we're doing. So like, think about it. We thought, okay, you can't just be lying to people. Lying to people is wrong. But now he lies every 30 seconds. And you're like, he just like literally lied. And people are like, oh, it's definitely the media lying, making him out to be the bad person. So I don't think a lot of people have actually taken the year to look at themselves. Instead, I feel like some of them have taken the year, and it doesn't matter what race you are, what color you are. Some people have taken the year to just be like, oh, well, we don't have to care. So it is what it is.
Here's the thing. Last year the last election when I pulled cards, Trump was supposed to win. And the reason that he was supposed to win was because he was to bring about what we're going through right now. It was already determined. I don't know if people saw it in the stars. It was already predetermined that this was going to be. So I knew going into that election that we were going to have a really strong learning curve. And I think when you look at divination, when you look at certain things that show up in the hands and the cards and the crystal ball with pendulums, you get warnings from spirit that are saying, look, it almost goes back to that Tower moment, that Ten of Swords, that Death card. We're still going through major transformation. And I think when you look at palmistry and any other form of divination, what it helps us do is navigate.
That's right.
It helps us navigate these situations. We know that we're going to have to deal with it. So now, what's the remedy?
We're more prepared.
Exactly.
A really amazing woman that I admire on Instagram, the Tarot Lady Teresa Reed, says for astrology, so you can be prepared, not scared. And I just love that saying, be prepared, not scared. With your, like, that's what us diviners can do, right? Is help you be prepared, even if you are scared.
It's true. We have the tools to help a lot of people cope. This year, my readings tripled. And it was because so many people were lost. They couldn't cope with what was going on. And it made me feel, as a priestess this year, I felt like I was really walking in my power. Mm-hmm. Because I was working with the divine and helping people navigate and hold themselves together so that we could get through this. So at the end of this year, I could say, you know what? Look, we came out of this. Yeah. I still have my crew. I still have my people. We're intact. And that's one of the beauties that we offer people. And I think for the people that are listening, whether you decide to go into palmistry or, tarot or whatever your divination is, always keep in mind that what you're doing is for the greater good. Mm-hmm. It always is. You're giving a gift to expand and help people be able to navigate this thing that we call life. Yeah.
And to discover the hidden, the unseen. I think that's what's so powerful is, especially tarot and the way that I do palmistry, but also astrology and others, is there are archetypes that exist there. Right. And so even the very symbols themselves can bring an archetypal sort of meaning, and that then you can reflect on that. Like, it's actually the querent or the client's experience of reflection on what is presented that is the most powerful part of a reading. I tell people I'm a palm reader, not a mind reader, right? So I can read something in your hand, and I can give you an example of how it might play, of how other people have seen, how it's worked, but I don't know how it works for you. You tell me, how does this show up for you? This is what your hand is doing, or this is your gesture, or this is the line, or whatever. You tell me how that works. And there's something amazing that happens when we do that. When we let the client describe what that means in their own life, it helps internalize that archetype and reveal the path forward. And so together, you can craft a path forward. One of the things that I've seen some magical practitioners do with tarot readings is, you're doing a spread and you don't like the outcome. You go through that deck and pick out what you desire your outcome to be and lay those cards down on top of the things that are not where you want them to be, and take control of your destiny and change it. The same with palmistry. You don't feel like you want, okay, straighten out that finger. You can change your hand position, right? unlike the stars in the sky, with palmistry and with tarot, you have an opportunity to do some magical work to transform it.
Absolutely. I love that. I love the way you explained it, because you're absolutely right. You have choices, you know, so.
And it's also worth saying, I think that, like, if I put the 10 of Cups on top of the Tower card, that is not Pollyanna. You can't be like, I'm going to ignore that Tower card. Instead, it's the Tower is what destroys my blockages for me to achieve the 10 of Cups. Do you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Like, on top of death is life. And they work together. So that's why it's so magical, is that I can say, this is what I'm going to let these, like, if the cards are shit, well, guess what that is? It's fertilizer for your garden to grow something amazing. So how are you going to look at it? As fertilizer or as a pile of poop emoji?
The way to put it. Absolutely. I love this interview. So many people are saying that they love it. You got some fans. I mean, you already have fans, but you definitely got some followers that are like, I got to find them. So thank you so much.
Divine Hand Gym on Instagram. You can find me at thedivinehand.com. Lena's put that in the chat a couple times. And I just want to say, I can't wait to get a reading from all of you.
Anytime you're ready.
But let's do it in person.
Oh, right. I will fly down there. That'd be so fun. Well, thank you. All three of you are beautiful, amazing, radiant, powerful people. And I am so honored to be here with you. So thank you.
No, we're honored to have you. So thank you so much. And I'm going to be coming to you soon. So
Yes.
I'm ready to get looked at.
Awesome.
So you guys be safe. Definitely take care with everything that's going on right now. Like you say, wear your mask. Y'all be safe. We're not out of this yet.
Nope.
Do what I do, people.
Love it though.
Here we go.
If your mask is cute, you'll wear it. That's also
true.
Give a cute mask. You deserve a cute mask.
Absolutely.
I have a lot of masks, but it's like, you know, now it's like, so you become so paranoid. You're like, oh, you're leaving the car. You're like, I forgot my mask. Then you run back to the car, get your mask.
Always.
Yeah.
Thank you, everyone, so much for this.
Well, thank you for joining us tonight. We enjoyed it very much.
It was very nice.
Yay.
All right.
All right. Take good care.
Bye.
Bye.